Hello, and welcome to Public Health Matters, a monthly program dedicated to discussing public health issues in our community. This program is sponsored by the Middle-Brook Regional Health Commission, which serves the towns of Bound Brook, Greenbrook, Middlesex, South Bound Brook, Warren, and Watchung. My name is Colleen McKay Wharton, and I'm the health educator for the Commission and the host of this program. Our goal for Public Health Matters is to give you a program that will provide you useful information to help you better understand important public health issues, and in particular, what you can do to reduce any risks associated with them. Well, summer is definitely here, and in light of that, our topic for today's program is skin cancer prevention. And joining us is Dr. Alissa Fox, a dermatologist in Branchburg, and also Lucille Young-Talbot, who is the public health consultant and coordinator for the Somerset County Cancer Coalition. Thank you both so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your being here. And it's such a timely topic as we're getting into the heat waves of July and August. Dr. Fox, we all sort of have different types of moles or blemishes and things on our skin. And we've all heard terms like basal cell, squamous cell, melanoma. I think there's probably some real confusion about what those different terms mean. And I'm just wondering if you can define for us, how can you simply define skin cancer, if there is such a thing as a simple term?
Exactly. And you're right, there is a lot of confusion about the different kinds of skin cancer. Actually, skin cancer is the most common kind of cancer that there is now. And really, there are three different kinds. Basal cell and squamous cell are really similar to each other. And melanoma is a lot less common, but more serious and can spread. And basal and squamous usually present on the skin surface as a sore that just doesn't heal. There can be nothing there previously, and it can start out almost looking just like a little blemish or a little pink spot, and it can scab over and bleed a little and form a crust, but it just doesn't heal over the course of months, and then it just gets larger and larger, and this is the kind of thing that really should be, the person should seek medical attention and have checked out. Melanoma, on the other hand, which again is less common, is usually a very dark mole that can grow and spread fairly quickly. Actually, more melanomas come out as a completely new growth where there was nothing on the skin compared with a mole that's been there for
lives or
for many years that changes. It's about 2 to 1. About 1/3 of melanomas start out as a mole that's been there for many years that changes, but about 2/3 just come out right from the start as a fairly rapidly growing, very dark mole.
And you know, we'll talk a little bit later on watching our skin for those kinds of changes, and you really just highlighted why that's so important, because something new can appear.
Exactly.
Now, you've described some of the differences in how they appear, but are there sort of typical symptoms? I think off camera we had talked a bit about basal and squamous having, you know, the ABCD connection that we sometimes hear about. What is that about, and what are those sorts of symptoms like?
The ABCD really refers to melanoma specifically. First of all, that there's asymmetry to the mole. It's not, both halves don't match each other. It can be extending off in one direction. The borders are irregular. The color is irregular.
That's our ABC.
The ABC. And then the D is the diameter, that basically it tends to be larger than a pencil eraser. The thing that we sort of go as a guideline is the size of a pencil eraser. If a mole is less than that size, then chances are it's not a problem, and larger gets to be more of a problem. But these are not hard and fast rules either. I mean, there are some melanomas that are just, they're one color, but they're very, very dark, so there isn't an irregular color, but it's very dark or almost black. And there are some melanomas that are smaller than a pencil eraser also. So they're not hard and fast guidelines, but they are just guidelines.
But they're a starting point. And you know, interestingly, for the first time I saw an E added to that ABCD, which was for evolution, right? That changing over time.
And that some people are finding to be even more important. Just that when a person comes in and they say that a mole is changing, that in itself is a really important factor to us when we're examining moles. That even though a mole may not look dangerous, if the person comes in and says that it's changing, they see changes, we do take that very seriously.
Right. Now, Lucille, as the coordinator for the Somerset County Cancer Coalition, can you share with us any information about the rates of skin cancer that you're seeing in Somerset County? And I realize people move, and maybe there's some wiggle room with those stats.
And there always are. But
Right.
based on the statistics that we have that are most recently up until 2005,
Okay.
in Somerset County, residents are fairly fortunate because the rate of invasive skin cancer is below the median. There's
Okay.
approximately 400 cases diagnosed per 100,000 people, and there's almost 200,000 people in Somerset County.
Okay.
Conversely, in the state of New Jersey, there's 5 counties that have very high rates of invasive skin cancer. That would be Morris County, Warren, Sussex, and not surprisingly, Ocean County and Cape May County.
Okay.
So there are some additional efforts being focused from the State Department of Health Office of Cancer Control and Prevention to focus on those areas and why they have such high rates and what they can do about it. And that's what we do
Okay.
as a part of the Cancer Coalition.
Interesting. I was so
Which I'll talk
surprised
to
to hear
more.
about Morris and Sussex.
I
you
know, I think a lot of people are.
That really is surprising. Now, there are so many types of cancers that we know the connection. We know smoking, we know lung cancer. There's clear-cut things, and there's others that we don't know, and we're not so sure on what the causes are. But for skin cancer and melanoma and the different types, we do have some awareness and understanding of what that causal factor is.
Absolutely. And really there are two big factors. I mean, ultraviolet radiation and genetics. We know that genetics do play something of a factor. Once in a while, not commonly, we see skin cancer in an area that's received almost no ultraviolet radiation. And so genetics have to be a factor. Also, genetics are a factor in terms of moles in general. How many moles the person has, whether they're large or small, flat or raised, dark or less more flesh colored. All of that really is genetically determined. But ultraviolet radiation, absolutely, we know for a fact, causes skin cancer.
Okay. And ultraviolet radiation, I know there are 2 types. Correct. There's an A and a B, and how
Actually,
are
there are
they?
3 types.
Oh, there are 3 types. Okay,
There's actually
great.
ultraviolet C, which doesn't hit the Earth's surface. UVC doesn't hit the Earth's surface.
So you learn something
See, I
every
learn
day.
something new every day. That's right.
But ultraviolet A and B are the 2 big factors.
Okay.
And actually, most of the ultraviolet radiation that comes down from the sun that hits the Earth's surface is UVB. Much less is UVA. UVB tends to cause more burning. It doesn't penetrate as deeply into the skin, and it causes more burning. Ultraviolet A penetrates more deeply into the skin, so it doesn't cause as much burning, and it causes more tanning, but it also causes a lot of other damage. A lot of the long-term effects we see from the sun, leathery skin, wrinkles, what we call aging of the skin in general, a lot of that is from ultraviolet A, which penetrates more deeply into the skin. But they both cause skin cancer. I mean, we know for a fact now that they both cause skin cancer.
Okay. Well, and it's interesting that we have learned about, as we have learned about ultraviolet A, we saw the sunscreens changing, right? Early on, it used to be just UVB protection, but now they do cover both.
Exactly, and there really are a wide variety of chemicals that are in the sunscreens, but now a lot of them do tend to protect against UVA as well as UVB. And it's important to look on, when you're buying a sunscreen, to look on the packaging and look for something that does provide a broad spectrum coverage. There's an ingredient called Helioplex that does provide more protection against ultraviolet A as well as ultraviolet B.
Okay. And do you think, and I don't know how many years you've been practicing, but do you think that people are more aware of the significant impact that the sun can have on our skin now, as opposed to 20 years, 30 years, 40 years ago?
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
So there's hope, right? We are seeing improvement in our behaviors.
Right.